I don't know about you, but sometimes when I'm reading stories in the gospel, they can come across as so fantastic, and that it almost feels like a myth. The story of Jesus healing the invalid in John chapter 5 is a candidate for that type of response. Especially if while reading it, you find yourself wondering, why does the text goes from verse 3 to 5 and it skips verse 4? Did you notice that? Believe it or not, for a very long time, many scholars believed that this story in John chapter 5 was a myth. Because not only was the text a bit suspicious, but there was no proof that such a place as the Pool of Bethesda ever existed. It wasn't until the 19th century when archaeologists believed he had located it. The story is an interesting one, right? It provides the time of the year that Jesus was there. It was the feast of the Jews and the specific day of the week, which was the Sabbath. It is like the author is going out of his way to make sure that we understood that this really happened. In the ancient Near Eastern world, healing pools similar to what is described in John chapter 5 were very common in the day. Shrines like these were once found throughout the whole Roman Empire, catering to the different religions and philosophies' preferences while sharing the same commonality and message. This was a place where you could be healed. That was the message of the shrines. This story is easy to imagine. Picture the day when Jesus arrived there. The sky was blue and cloudless, the heat was oppressive, the air was thick with dust kicked up from the countless people walking, donkeys and camels working their way through to the twisted narrow streets of Jerusalem. Jesus arrives at the portico of the Pool of Bethesda, which has multiple pools. There beside the pool of water are countless sick people and invalid people gathered around there, and many laying on mats and eagerly watching for the movement of the water in the pool. They lay there, hoping that they would get into the water when it was moving, because they believe the movement was what caused the healing to happen. They believe the movement was caused by an angel with healing powers. There is Jesus standing in the midst of the crowd. Jesus stands and takes it all in while countless people pass by a scene all too familiar to them to even care about it anymore, right? Then Jesus' attention zeroes in this one man in a particular place, and he approaches him and asks him a very specific, direct question. Do you want to get well? Well, if he was there, that's all he was looking for. Healing, right? It seems like a no-brainer, doesn't it? He's been sick and unable to walk for 38 years. Longer than some of us participating in this study has been alive. Of course, he wants to walk. Of course, he wants to get better. That's the whole point, right? He wants to walk and get better. Maybe around 15 years, he started to lose hope. Maybe around 20 years, he accepted his fate. Maybe around 25 years, he found he was comfortable with his life, right? Maybe around 30 years, he couldn't imagine anything else but this invalid life by a pool and living through charity of others. The man's response to Jesus is probably more relatable today than you may realize. He essentially tells Jesus that only the fastest, the quickest, the brightest people get healed. Only those individuals in the right position in relationship to the water or those with the right helpers can get healed. Today we often hear about the importance of being the hardest in working, the brightest of the students, or having the social network to help you get the job that you have been dreaming of. Being well connected or even being born in a position of privilege will get you what you want. All of these factors indicate that someone with one or more of those advantages will succeed in life. They will get what the rest of us want to have, but because of our position, we cannot. The man is saying, sure, I'd love to get better, but I don't have anyone. There is no one that comes beside me to help me out. Another way of thinking about the man and his answer is when he says, sir, I have no one. Wow. What a sad statement. I have no one. He's friendless. Think with me. Having no one means that you are alone. If he is friendless, then he is also probably hopeless. Have you ever felt like that? You're going through a horrible season of life and someone asks you a question about the future and you can't answer them because you can't even think about what life might be like or look like. And when all of this badness you are currently facing is over, you're like, I don't know what it will look like. I don't even know when it's gonna get over. After all, you can imagine an ending to the problems that you're facing. Finally, notice the absence of faith in this man's answer towards Jesus. Thankfully, none of that matters to Jesus himself. The healing in John chapter 5 is a powerful reminder of grace, of the grace of God. That grace isn't about how hard you try, how privileged you are, or who you know, but instead, ultimate blessing like healing, forgiveness, and salvation are all result of the favor of God and nothing more. This man contributes nothing to the miracle, not even a simple agreement that he was to be made well. Later in the Gospel of John, Jesus will say, I am the vine, and apart from me you can do nothing. As the vine, Jesus is the source of life. Our lives are dependent on Him and grow out of Him. He not only makes us grow, but sustains and nourishes our spiritual and physical lives. What a great God we have. The story in John 5 let us see some of the greatest things about Jesus. He's a friend to the friendless. Jesus gives hope to the hopeless. Jesus heals the sick. He's courageous in the face of opposition, and Jesus cares deeply for His people as He cares for you and I today. Maybe you find yourself alone, friendless, and hopeless, but you ought to remember that Jesus, man, He is a God who faces the opposition to make sure that we are filled with hope again.